Officer John or Officer Mark, I'm going to be moving to a different county. I stopped in and talked to the sheriff's office, and I had talked to the deputy before. He's a real sweetheart. I mean, super sweetheart. Um, and I told him Dave fled the country, and I showed him where Judge Peters from Florida was arrested because of this case. And they were seen by 3,000 people at Faith Family Church, bragging that they were for Judge Peters. There were some videos of them hurting me, and there the different people that were involved. I didn't go into details about like the Texas group or anything like that. Um, but I went through some of the scams. Now, like the old guy in my old department that was part of defrauding an FBI agent John. When the church people showed up at that FBI office after I called the hotline before he talked to me, he said he was in that office helping defraud him. Um, uh, in the last couple of months, since Michelle told on them that I didn't know who that doctor was from before because he works for them, and they had lied he was one of my doctors, and they had tried to kill me when they bashed in the back of my head. That guy's been trying to set off the hate crime like crazy. Didn't say a word for a year. And I heard him outside. The only way we can get that agent to show up is if we get somebody dumb enough to arrest her. All the other police departments know about the FBI case, and they would not dare touch her because she's in the witness protection program. And we got to find somebody dumb enough to arrest her, and the only one that seems like they don't know about it is Louisville. So basically, he called Louisville dumb. So they went with all the scams they pulled that were already all debunked. Uh, yeah. And then I heard outside with another guy, I want that agent to show up here and explain himself. He said he didn't care what we did to her. And I heard a lot of the drug dealers that helped out went to jail and wanted to show up here and explain himself. That's where I told the FBI, CIA, sheriff to make sure that Agent John stays out of Louisville. They're looking for him. While I'm moving to a different county, you need to have a long talk with that sheriff's department and police department near me. They will try anything to bring that agent out. The retired CI agent that worked for my client up in Akron, she told me that the Texas group has killed agents and that all law enforcement's after that was involved in my case. With them wanting Agent John to show up, they may try every scam in the world. See, these people lie to people that I have charges. I've never been prosecuted for anything. They told people that I was in several state psychiatric hospitals. It's never in a state psychiatric hospital. They told people I was found insane. It's never found insane. They just lie. So if you would have a talk with the police department about the FBI case, and that they're trying to scam police departments that they think are dumb. They think they're dumb. See, this is where the cops ought to be starting to get mad that the criminals think they're dumb. There's an open FBI case. Protected custody. Do you know who was telling them not to believe me and not to help me? The scam of the retired Judge Pete, friends with Ludick, and he's a drug dealer from Florida. And the police that were supposed to be working for him, the ones that were hurting me, and they're nothing but drug dealers from Florida. Get the idea? And the fake FBI agents with them, they were drug dealers from Florida. Worked for Judge Peters, told everybody they worked for Judge Peters at Faith Family Church. Michelle was with them. The guy that looked like a deranged white Santa Claus, told everybody he was retired Judge Pete from the Ravenna courthouse, friends with Ludick, letting him get away with crimes. And there's people saying that they're police that work for him. Right on Google, police don't work for retired judges. Where did they say they were from? Florida. Who they work for? Judge Peters. It was a scam. That some guy named Pete on his own that Dave hired, that's him. He's a drug dealer from Florida. That Will guy, him and that Pete running a big scam on me for Dave. See, they don't have my medical records. See, that's where, if they actually had my medical records, they wouldn't said a word. See, where my community health, where I told you what was wrong with me before, it is medical malpractice, medication errors, and fraud. They were defrauding me, ripping off my insurance, getting kickbacks from drug companies, and making me sick enough they wanted to do brain surgery. And they encouraged Dave and I to sue them for 2 to 3 years. We were planning on suing them. Dave said, I want to make sure you're strong enough to sit in court. Well, I got well in July. When I got well in July, I still had to get off the fentanyl patches. It took me a couple months of slowly leaving them on longer. The withdrawal from fentanyl was horrible. Throwing up, headaches. The withdrawal of something that is 100 times stronger than morphine was horrible getting off. Slowly leaving the patches on longer, then trying to leave them off here or there, and that the nauseousness from the withdrawal would come. It was horrible getting off of them. Dave said, when you get strong enough, we'll sue them. We were talking about suing them after the first year. And Strange pulled that in November. I didn't get a chance to get well and strong enough. Then I had to take care of Danny. He pushed Danny to suicide. Danny was so bad, he was in counseling 3 times a week. He was seeing also a psychiatrist. He was also had to have school tutoring, and to pay for all that, and medication. And to pay for all that, Dave's insurance had elapsed. I had to go get a full-time job. I was not allowed to leave him alone for 6 months. My wonderful, sweet neighbors and the nice new people I started working with, a lot of them watched him for free. As long as you got food in your house, we don't care. We'll sit with them so you can work, so you can pay for this. Because Dave wouldn't help me at all. Danny got down to 118 pounds. He almost had to hospitalize him. He became bulimic. And it was horrible there for a while. And my main priority was taking care of Danny after that. And keeping him alive. Vengeance for them doctors almost killing me didn't even matter at that point. Keeping my son alive was the most important thing. And then trying to find the way to come up with enough money to pay for it. Now, that's where this whole thing of, if they actually had my medical records, like Altman, or I always say Altman Family, it's my community health on 7th Street in Canton behind Altman Hospital. They wrote it up in 2002. Those doctors were known for lying, falsely diagnosing people, ripping them off, making them sick, and getting kickbacks from drug companies, and making people sick enough to do unnecessary procedures. They were lying so bad they told me I had epilepsy, I was supposed to have lupus, MS, level 2 pituitary tumors. Wanted to remove my pituitary gland from my brain. And the only thing that was wrong with me was my muscles locked up. I found out I have a genetic heart defect called PABR. It should have been fixed when I was a baby. Like the cardiologist said, you've learned to live with the left side of your heart not pulling enough blood your whole life. Eventually, it probably needs fixed. It's an easy fix, just a simple, like an hour-long surgery. Um, but for right now, I mean, it's still beating like it always did. And I'm lucky with the left side of my heart not getting enough blood as much as the right. That where those people torture me, they didn't kill me. All the drugs they pumped in me, they didn't kill me during this case. It's by the grace of God am I still here. See, that's where if those people actually pulled my medical records, they would have known it was fraud. Everything was fraud after the all those surgeries, my muscles clenched. That it was all fraud. They were just ripping me off, and they were causing all that. See, and it's documented fraud. See, that's where December 30th or 31st of 23, I was in Altman Hospital emergency room with a client. Some of the nurses were talking. Said no one ever addressed to her what those doctors did to her before. My God, they were lying so bad. They said she had level 2 brain tumors, and there was nothing wrong with her but her muscles locked up. They were lying about everything. They were ripping off her insurance, or they were ripping her off and defrauding her. And it was medication making her sick. No one will say a word to her after what those doctors did to her. Okay? The officer that was assigned to me that day walked by and said, I'm the officer assigned to her at night. Said and he was talking to another guy, said, all those doctors were lying before? He said, yes, they were all defrauding her. It was the medication making her sick. It was the doctors doing it to her. Nobody had ever said a word to her. It was them doing it. And they were all lying. They were just ripping her off. They were all defrauding her. Nobody had ever said a word to her because it was the medication making her sick. See, if these people actually had my medical records, they wouldn't say a word because it's wrote up as fraud. See, that's where the investigator said, there's no way those doctors didn't know they weren't killing her. With her whole body swelling up, seizures, heart attacks, thyroid, adrenal gland shut down. And they're lying that I have level 2 brain tumors wanting to do brain surgery. There's no way they didn't know they weren't killing her. And they were waiting to see if one of those doctors would actually try to back up with the call, because then they were paid off the call to kill me. Then it's attempt to murder. An attempt to murder, they can go back at any time. Because like they said, it took another doctor to tell them that they were the ones making her sick and all lying. They told Officer Mark and some agents and officers that were with me the first month or two of the case the same thing. That it's documented fraud, medical malpractice, medication errors. And the doctors were lying and ripping me off, making me sick, and it was documented as fraud. So that's where the investigators, have said there's no way those doctors didn't know they weren't killing her. If that other office witness told on them, she would have died. And they've wondered if that occult didn't pay them off. That's where they were wondering if one of them would actually say they were in it with a call and break HIPAA violations. They automatically lose their license. And it's 10 years just for opening their mouth. And $1 million fine, and whoever they work for can get $1 million fine. I can sue them all. See, that's the point of these people don't have my medical records. Then half my medical records, it's already documented, are Dave's girlfriend from before me. They got it out of Dave. Where that other lady ran up all those medical bills was one of his girlfriends. It was scamming me the whole time. But Officer Mark or John, if you'll talk to that sheriff's office, that I had a big bunch of medical malpractice and fraud done to me and I almost died about 30 years ago. Actually, 23 years ago or more. Okay? And it's documented as fraud by another doctor, medical malpractice and medication errors. And they were just defrauding her, ripping her off, and that you were afraid that that church had paid him off to kill me, and another doctor told on him. It's the only thing that saved my life, because the medication was literally killing her. And then half her medical records, we have found out it was one of Dave's girlfriend. He was letting her use her insurance. And he's been scamming her the whole marriage. If you have a long talk with them, that way if some idiot shows up trying to think they're dumb. See, they think the cops are dumb. And that they wouldn't look into any of that. And that way they can make Agent John show up. He shows up, they're going to take care of him. And there is no reason for him to have to show up anywhere. See, that's why they're doing this, where they said that's the only way we can make that agent show up, if we can find somebody dumb enough to arrest her. Nobody else will touch her because of the FBI case. Louisville acts like they don't know about it. So they thought Louisville cops were dumb. The guy in my old apartment, they might want to think about that one. The one where they told Melissa to come down and say her mean games of pretend trying to steal my car from me. It's nothing but a thief. It's probably one of my rapists the way he leers at me. For him to say he was in there from the beginning. So he knew everything was a scam and he was defrauding that agent on purpose. But Agent John, we need to have a talk. You told me on the phone you thought it would take you about a year to clean this up. It's been almost 7, honey. I know you've got a lot of drug dealers. I know we've got terrorists off this. And this was a big mega case. You probably got a promotion out of it. Well, you left me in hell. We all know they walked into an office immediately after I got off the hotline. You admitted you met with them all in your office, and they already knew I called the FBI. You were seen by the police and by hundreds telling on me and telling people you knew I was being drugged, being raped, and didn't care because some idiot called me a faker. And it was a medication error, medical malpractice almost killed me. And you were acting like a crazy call person to get these people. You confessed on a recorded line. You told on me before you talked to me. Made fun of me. And by federal law, when they came in and confessed that they were trying to kill me, by your sworn duty, you were to arrest them. You were to arrest Pete for cyber stalking, human trafficking, rape, sextortion, kiddie porn. You didn't arrest any of them. You let the main criminals just sit there while you brought the riffraff around. And you got the riffraff and the extra drug dealers. Okay? You saved hundreds. You know, I've thought of the other scenario, Agent John. What if you would have arrested him on the spot? The cartel probably would have scattered. You wouldn't have had to weigh into the cartel to get the really big guys. But how many people would have lived that were taken here? You saved hundreds, but thousands were taken. You sacrificed a victim that called for help. Let them crush in my skull, rape and torture me, human traffic me. I was beat with internal injuries. I have a dent in my head. I was drugged till I lost 70 pounds. Almost shot in the head driving, had to hide on a shooting night. I lived through a 007 movie. And anybody demeaning what I lived through, and it's public knowledge, makes you sick and disgusting as the people that did it to me. My sacrifice trying to save my family's life should be at least respected. Because even the officers that watch me have announced in Walmarts. They can tell people I'm amazing. She, look at all the information she got on those people. She has no training, and she got all that information on those people. They even came up, you need to be proud of what you lived through. Because of what you lived through, we got all those information on those people. You help save a lot of lives. Most people get letters of accommodation. You didn't even give me my pay. You told on me. You made fun of me for that Pete, the dirty doctor scam that's not one of mine, but works for them, and they lied. There's so many federal crimes. They should have got 100 years just walking in your office. They're so dumb. Where the FBI agents that showed up April 19th, 25, these people are so dumb you wouldn't believe how dumb they are. Trying this with us. You left me in hell. You told on me. You made fun of me. You made me beg for my life. You admitted everybody knew I called the FBI. Or you even talked to me. And then you opened a format program. And you left me in hell. Well, you got all the video surveillance of those people. It's evil, but effective. I'd like my money. You know, I think I make a joke of it now that these people say they're going to extort money out of the FBI. For one thing, that's impossible. But my thing is, that man's so tight I haven't got my paycheck in 7 years. Good luck getting a dime out of him. I'd like my money. I like a medical card. New social. We all know they have it. Look how the cartel works on people when they scam. This is the Florida drug cartel and the Texas. And that retired Judge Pete, that some guy named Pete Dave hired on his own, is no retired judge. That's why nobody knew who he was. He was seen with the Florida human traffickers at Faith Family Church, with the ones that said they worked for Judge Peters. From Florida. Michelle was with them. They were selling the login. And where a bunch of guys said they were the police that worked for retired Judge Pete. Google, police don't work for retired judges. There were other drug dealers from Florida scamming everyone. They were the ones telling everybody no one's to believe her, no one's to help her, and they're a bunch of drug dealers, and everybody's been listening to drug dealers. The officers and agents that work my case, nobody told anybody not to believe her, not to help her. Or they get it. The drug dealers. The drug cartel told them that. Like they said, we always said if they didn't feel comfortable saying something, just say we don't talk about an ongoing case. We were to get information on these people so we could stop them. That's doing it to her. We were never to say no one's a believer, no one's to help her. Do you realize with the FBI case and the U.S. Marshals using the case and getting all those thousands of people, saving hundreds of lives, any officer saying they don't know about this case, and so many thousands of people were affected by these people, you demean every lost life. You demean every person that was human trafficked and the hell that I lived through. And then you want to act dumb for drug dealers? Don't ever demean your position. And where you're supposed to be respected and people are to trust you, and that way the cartel calls you dumb, don't demean what you represent. You're supposed to represent protection and integrity. But I need you to have a talk with that sheriff's department. I like my money, Agent John. I'm tired. And like the Louisville police with that lady, they looked up and they found the original case. Dave hired 2 men on his own. It was 2 men doing this. One said they were attorneys so that it made it legal. No, it don't. Of course it don't. Makes it worse illegal, like they said. Because they know better. They know the law. See, I talked to a real criminal attorney. Nobody can do this. Talk to the police prosecutor's office. These are all federal crimes. I'm going to upload this.